Now we have to create a second sheet in our spreadsheet. So I've just pressed plus and I've gone and created a second sheet, and I've given the heading N and S. Now I have to do the numbers 0 to 20. I'm starting off just by typing, but once I've typed a few numbers, I'm going to select those 3 cells and then click and drag from that coloured in box, because Excel will recognise the pattern and continue it for me, copying it down. Of course, I could have just continued typing and typed 0 to 20. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Now I have to put in my formula for the salvage value. The salvage value, remember, is the initial value V0, take away D, the depreciation per year, times by N, the number of years. Initial value is the value you will have looked up for your brand new car, and D is the value you will have found in the previous question for your annual depreciation. We begin the formula by typing an equals. I'm going to pretend that I have a very expensive car, because why not? I'm just making the numbers up and they have to be different from yours. So 70,000 is my initial value, take away, and I'm going to pretend that my car doesn't really depreciate very much at all, $3,000 a year. So that's V0, my V0, take away my D, times by, I put in an asterisk, and then I'm going to have the cell value that contains the value of N. So I'm just clicking on A2 because that's where my value of N lives, and that gives me the formula for the 0 year before it's depreciated at all. Obviously it's just going to be the initial purchase price. But if I want to copy that formula down, I can copy it and paste it, or I can just go to that coloured in square and click and drag, and it will copy the formula down. And as you can see, by clicking on, say, this one, you can see that the formula becomes 70,000, take away 3,000 times, and this time the N value is in cell A6. Next job, create a scatter graph. So I've selected my table of values, including the heading, and go to the Insert tab and find the scatter graph. Choose the ones where the lines are joined up. Now, the question later asks that we use our graph to find the value of the car at 8.5 years. The graph that Excel has produced for us automatically isn't really very useful for that. It goes up to 25, we don't need that, and it's going up in 5-year chunks. We can go and use the menu items at the top here if we want, or we can just go, once we've selected the graph, we can go to the plus and selecting on that arrow, more options for our axes. If we go to more options for our axes, that will enable me to change the scale, and I actually want it going up by half a year on my horizontal axis, because then I'll have an exact line for 8.5. And I really don't need it, pardon me, going up to 25, I'll have it going up to 20. And you can see that that automatically makes the change. I'd also like a better vertical axis. So if I click on axis options, vertical, and you can see that the maximum is 80,000. I don't need it to be 80,000. I can just have it as 70,000. And my major unit is 10,000, which makes it really hard for me to read an accurate value. So I'm going to make my major unit 2,000. And now I should probably make my chart bigger. And then I should be able to read at 8.5 years. That's a tiny bit above the 44,000. So I can say from the graph that it is 44,000 and a half. So 44,500. And that then has created a graph that I can use to read off intermediate values for the value of my car.